My background's always been in the diocese, to be honest. I've been a regular attender at St Brandon's, Branspeth, ever since I was born. I've also been on the PCC and church warden there for probably the last few years now. And that's been my church background in the Diocese of Durham. But other than that, I'm a local person. I've went to school at Durham Johnson, just down the road from the diocesan office. Went away for a few years to university, and then came back to the northeast to work for KPMG in Newcastle, where I trained as an auditor and qualified as an accountant, and stayed there for 13 years, working my way up to senior manager. At around that time, my wife had a son, and I had time off on shared parental leave, which gave me a bit of chance to think about the direction I wanted to go in life and what I wanted to do. And at that time, the role of finance director of the diocese came up as advertised, and it seemed like a good fit, so I applied and got that job. That job started just as lockdown started, so I had a whole week in the office, and then we closed it down and everyone went home. So I've had a fairly peculiar introduction to diocesan life, but nonetheless, it's been good, and it's been excellent to join a very welcoming team of dedicated people who are working to do an awful lot of good for the diocese. So most of my work so far has been getting to know people via Zoom, getting to grips with the financial challenges that have been caused for the diocese by COVID particularly, but also some of the underlying issues that were already there that people will be familiar with declining congregations and such like. And those challenges have not been helped by COVID, it's fair to say, but we are getting to grips with them as the months have gone past.
So you really had a bit of a 6-month apprenticeship almost before then you find yourself that there's another role advertised, and that's Diocesan Secretary. You applied for that, and congratulations, you got that role. So 6 months learning something about the diocese as finance director. How does that help shape your thinking going forward?
It's been a really useful period to get to know the people in the diocese, and there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of very dedicated and hardworking people here, and it's been an excellent 6-month period to get to know those outside of my own parish who do so much to contribute to our diocese. I suppose what it's also done is it's given me a bit of an opportunity to think about how things might work in the future, and to see during the period of vacancy of the Diocesan Secretary what the role looks like and what needs doing in it. I've been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to take on some elements of that role so far, which has been really valuable to me in working out what the role can be and how it can be done. And I think that's going to be really useful in how I work out what the diocese needs from the Diocesan Secretary as I take up the role.
In the first couple of months, what do you think your priorities are going to be?
To start with, there's still quite a lot of work to do on the finances, if I'm honest. I've still a budget to sort out, and I have the introduction of the new guided pledge system to come to fruition, which many of the people in the diocese will have seen the roadshows over the summer. And that system is now coming in. So that'll be sort of step one over the next few weeks. But wider than that, I think what I'd like to do is to get to know people. It's all the more difficult thanks to COVID, unfortunately, but it is important that I hear what people have to say and what they understand, what they want from the DBF and the diocese itself at parish level, and what we can do to support them, particularly in this really challenging time.
So your door's open at any time for people to, give you an email, give you a call, drop by on Zoom or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. It'd be great to hear from people who want to talk to me about the role.
We face somewhat uncertain times. I mean, it's absolutely clear across the Church of England, things have not been great in terms, as you've already mentioned, about declining numbers and the why-for and wherefore of that. And of course, then back in March, COVID hit. We could be here for many months yet to come. Does that put real big strains on not only a diocese, but thinking back into your own parish situation? Does that really put big strains on the church?
Yes, I think it does. I think it puts big strains that are visible on all of society at the moment, are just as real in church life as well. Um, it has there's so many challenges that it's difficult really to know which one to start with. But I think the key thing that the church can bring to this is the sense of universal message that it brings to society anyway. Keeping hold of our parishes together, supporting them as times are tough, and listening to them, hearing from them, and talking to them is, I think, the core function of the diocese at the moment, and providing that support in this ever-changing world of new regulations and rules that seems to morph from one thing to another every few weeks. I think there's a really key supporting role for the diocese there to play in terms of looking after its people. There's also an opportunity for outreach, and we saw that particularly towards the start of the crisis, that a lot of people in a difficult time turn to the church, and it's important that we're there to hear them and support them when they come through our door.